Welcome to the Jake Sewell Podcast. On today's episode, I have Nate Jones, who is a Muncie Mayor Candidate. Nate, how's it going?
Doing well, man. I appreciate you having me out.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by and talking with me.
Yeah.
Running for mayor, you must be 100 mile an hour right now.
More than 100. I mean, I'm telling you, every day is a 6A to 9 or 10P sometimes, and you don't really get a whole lot of home time to be around your family and kids, but we made that a deal before we decided to do this, so it's known that we're going to be gone away from home quite a bit. So
Now, you're a Muncie native, right?
Yep, born and raised. I was born back in the mid-'80s. Was raised on the south side of town for the first 5-6 years of my life. Parents moved out to Cowan, and that's when I decided, that's when they decided that I was going to go to a county school for most of my life. And about midway through my freshman year, they decided to move back into the city, and I ended up going to Muncie Central High School and graduating from there. So, I love this city. Been my home all my life, and this is where I know everybody that I know.
What were you involved with in high school?
So in high school, I played a lot of baseball. That was my main sport. Definitely, was into go-karts, dirt bikes, all the fun things that you can think of doing in the country area. And used to go around with a lot of buddies racing go-karts a lot. So
After high school, what path did you take?
Well, so when I got out of high school, I initially had signed up to go to Ivy Tech to go to college. And within the first semester of doing that, I realized that it just wasn't something that I was quite ready for yet. And so I took it upon myself to go and start speaking with recruiters in the military. And I spoke with every branch except Coast Guard. And after about 6 months of thinking about that and deciding whether or not that was something I really wanted to do, I made the decision that I wanted to join the Army National Guard and be able to work and still kind of play a weekend warrior type of situation. But lo and behold, that's not what it ended up being. So I actually ended up doing more active duty time in the National Guard than probably most. So that's how that ended.
What all did you do in the military?
So when I first went in, I initially just went in to be a regular infantry guy, and so I went to basic training back in 2007. Went through basic AIT, and when I got back, I had the opportunity to go to what they call Air Assault School. And Air Assault School is it's about a 3.5-week course that teaches you 90% of the time there you learn how to tie knots. Beyond that, you learn how to rappel down ropes and off the side of buildings and different things like that. And so it just kind of gave you a little bit of a specialty of what you could do. And I loved it. It was a thrill. It was a rush. And I kind of like that type of stuff. So
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Now, after military, you came back to Muncie, right?
Well, yeah, so this is actually how it all went down. I went to Afghanistan in 2009 and deployed with what they call an agribusiness development team. And that agribusiness development team, their primary mission was to go and help eradicate terrorists from villages, but also to kind of play a hearts and minds kind of character to show the local villages how to grow normal crops. A lot of your terrorists are growing marijuana, poppy, different things like that produce a cash for them to fund their war against us. And so we would try to stop that, but then help the normal local villagers grow your tomatoes, your corn, your rice beds, and different things like that. And so when I got back, I was actually on active duty after I got back and worked down at Camp Atterbury doing range control and helping other soldiers learn how to operate their weapons and weapon systems to go overseas to Afghanistan. So when I got back from there, I actually ended up obtaining my insurance license. And my whole family's been in that business all their life. And I went to work for a Fortune 100 company called Aflac, which most people know what that is. And I did that for quite some time. So very, very successful with it.
What lessons did you take away from being in Afghanistan, a whole world away from us here in Indiana?
So before I went, I took everything for granted. I really did. And I realized when I was in theater that there's a whole different way of life out there than most people really know. To give you some examples, there is no running water there. They don't have water lines. They don't have sanitary lines to where you can flush a toilet. You don't get to go to the store and buy like what we see at Walmart. They don't have those there. I mean, they have little mud huts with markets in them. And the best way I can ever explain it is to say that I really just, you learn that there's more to life than what is out there. And you also learn to appreciate what you have. You learn respect for where you're at and what you're doing. And I thank God quite often that I'm on the soil of United States. That's for sure.
Yeah, I've talked to other soldiers who've came back, and they say that what we take for granted, it's just the simplest things.
Right.
And then we find ourselves complaining about the littlest things, and when you get their perspective of what they've seen overseas, it's kind of eye-opening.
Right. So I'll give you another example of that. Like I remember getting back and being in the grocery store line, and there was a kid that wanted a candy bar, and his mom told him no. And I mean, the kid just threw a fit, and it took me back to a moment when I was in Afghanistan doing a mission right on the Pakistan-Afghanistan border, and we were passing out school books to these children and mothers, and this mother wanted an eraser, the eraser off of a pencil, and she literally was offering up to work for us for upwards of 7 to 14 days to earn an eraser. I mean, that to me was that was eye-opening. I mean, just we take that eraser for granted here, and that's just such a minute little thing to us, but to them it's big.
How much time did you spend in Afghanistan?
So I right at 1 year. I spent actually 2 Christmases away. I didn't spend the first Christmas in Afghanistan, but I was on my way there. And then we actually left Christmas Day of 2010, or excuse me, 2009, and we ended up making it back into the States in 2010, right at the very beginning. So right at a year.
Nice, very good. We appreciate your service. That's something that's important here in the Sewell household.
Thank you.
Now, you're involved in a veterans service now, right?
Yes, sir. I've currently been running the Delaware County Veterans Affairs Office for the last 4+ years, and honestly, I'm proud of what we've accomplished up there. And when I say we, it's not just me. It originally was me and a part-time admin when I first took over. And then over the years, we've developed a camaraderie up there with a group of soldiers or veterans, for better terms, that our goal and duty is to go out there and serve those who have served. And we know what it's like to go through the VA system. We know what it's like to deal with struggles of war. We know what it's like to deal with day-to-day struggles. And so our goal is to provide a positive atmosphere and a positive frame of time for some of these folks to really get their lives in order and to try to get them in the right direction. And we're just glad that we've been able to do that.
How long have you been in that role?
But for about almost, let's say, 4 years and a couple months.
Okay.
So, to be honest with you, it's going to be difficult with everything that's coming up here soon with what I'm doing. It will be difficult to leave that office because I care about it.
Do you feel like you have a good understudy or someone to take over your role?
Yes. Actually, we've been currently trying to mold a few people to do that because we suspect that if this does happen, it may potentially take 1 or 2 of those guys to kind of step into that role, being some of the people that are there now. There's one guy that will be retiring out of there at the end of this year. So no matter what, we're going to fill 2 positions there.
Good.
Yeah.
At what point in the past year or so did you look in the mirror and say, hey, I want to run for mayor?
Well, actually, this is kind of funny. So we'll back up even before that. About 2 years ago, I was approached by some elected officials that come to me and said, Nate, we see something in you that we don't see in a whole lot of guys your age, but we would really like to see if you'd be interested in running for office in some way, shape, or form. And at that time, I just wasn't ready for the simple fact of I wanted to make sure that I had this VA office to the top capacity that I could possibly have it at. And I turned it down. I just said, no, I'm not interested, and kind of, laughed it off a little bit. But as time went on, there was actually other people that mentioned it to me. And they said, Nate, you've got the ability to lead people in a direction that's not normal, really, to be honest with you, with our age group of people. And they've also seen my work ethic. They've seen some of the things that I've done for people and the heart that I bring into it, because I try to keep politics out of everything that I do, really. I try to make the right decision for the people, including my office. I totally keep politics out of it, because I don't care who you are, where you come from, what political line you side with. I'm going to serve you as best as I can because of your services to our country. And so that's kind of the best way to explain it. And sure enough, about a year and a half ago, a year and a couple months ago, I was approached one more time, and they said, hey, city elections are coming up. You live in the city. We think that you would be a good fit for this. Would you be willing to sit down and talk about it? And sure enough, I sat down with a few people, and probably don't want to name all those folks here today, but I said, yeah, I'll absolutely give it a shot. And the only way, though, is as long as I know that I've got you guys' full support to do this, I'll move forward with it. And but before I could do that, I had to go to my family and make sure that I was going to have the support there, especially with the spouse at home and kids, and I was worried about that. So I've got 2 stepchildren and a biological child at home, and it was important for me to make sure that I crossed that off as well.
Did you take a lot of your leadership skills from the military?
Yes, I would say probably 80% of them, 70 to 80% of them come from that. Primarily because I think it takes a lot of discipline, a lot of structure. You have to have respect. You got to be loyal to those who you serve. And so, yes, a lot of it does. Now, the other, let's call it 30% of it, probably comes from the business side of things that I was involved in there shortly after the military. And currently, my brother and actually I got 2 older brothers that both are in the insurance business, and a father that's in the insurance business. And I learned that business side from them, but the military really prepared me for that as well. So it's a little bit of both, but mainly the military.
How was it when you approached your family and said, I'm going to make this run for mayor? Because we know, one, there's a lot of attention, there's a lot of time, there's a lot of criticism that goes along with that.
This is the great part is I've got a lot of support within my family, and when I actually approached them about it, they obviously asked the question, are you sure this is something you want to do? What ifs, all the what ifs come up of, hey, what if you win? What if you lose? What if you this? What if you that? And I just told them, look, I'm the type of guy that if I'm going to go after something, I'm going to give it 100%, but only knowing that you're going to give me 100% support behind it. And there were some worrisomes there. I've had one instance already where someone brought my kids into the realm of things, of politics. And I just believe that, when it comes to that stuff, you've got to, for respect purposes, I try to keep my kids and my spouse out of this. They can attack me all day long. They can say all the horrible things or the great things that they want to, but let's keep my children out of it unless it's positive.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Where's your passion for Muncie come from? I mean, I'm a Muncie, I grew up outside of Muncie, but, I love this town. There's a lot of negative around it, but I really think there's a lot of good things going on. Where's your passion come from?
So, being born and raised here, going to school here all my life, I'd say 90 to 95% of the people I know in this world are from this city. I'll be honest with you, I'm at a point where I'm tired of seeing my hometown, my local community, going down a road that is not something to be proud of. And, I can remember as far back as even when I was a young adolescent, even, let's call it 5 to 12 years old, I remember there was only one good mayor that I could remember of. And to me, when you're a mayor of your city, you are responsible for a lot of people's way of life. When you talk about infrastructure, when you talk about all the things that come into play with that, you are responsible for a lot. And so I'm really just passionate about it because I want to see this city become successful. I want to see this city not be called Little Chicago. I want to see this city really just thrive and be proud of who they are,
What's the process for becoming a mayor candidate?
So the process is this. So this was my process. Not everybody takes the same process, but when I initially said, okay, I'm going to give this a shot, let's put in our exploratory. And so you have to fill out some state paperwork that allows you to form a campaign team. So, of course, I have a campaign manager. I have a treasurer that handles any type of monies, and then myself as the candidate. And we initially did that because we said, okay, we're gonna run, but we want to explore how we're going to do this, and we want to be able to raise money and do whatever it takes to get us to the point of saying, okay, we're going to run. This is a serious deal, and we're going to move forward. And we did that process all the way up until it was time to actually sign up. And sure enough, the first day that we were able to sign up, walked in the office that morning and signed the paperwork, filled out all the necessary documentation to get it done, and it's been a process since.
Yeah, I've seen you guys. You guys have a lot of signs. You were at the parade. Would have been last night, March 16th.
Yes,
right?
yes. We had a great turnout at the parade. It's funny. I had someone post this on Facebook just a little while back, and or I guess it was last night or this morning, and they said Nate. As we were talking to Nate said, "Hey, as long as we have 15 folks here, we'll be okay." And look, I'm not one to try to brag or talk about numbers, and I would have been content with just me and my family walking in that parade. But fortunately, there were over 55 people that showed up to be a part of our float, to pass out candy, and to show the community that we're going to try to make an impact here like none other.
Another thing, I've been following you on Facebook. You did a ride-along the other day?
Yes, I did a ride-along with Muncie Police Department, and that's another subject that can sometimes be a little difficult to have, because there's a lot of animosity going on right now within the city, not just the police department, but all departments. And, that may be a day for a whole nother story to kind of talk about, but I can tell you that I enjoyed every moment that I was there. The gentleman that I rode with is a guy by the name of Chase Winkle. He's been on the department now for years. He's very active with leadership within the community. He's took approximately 90 other individuals on ride-alongs within our community, and typically those are members of our community that are in a leadership capacity in one way, shape, or form, whether they're a business owner, a political person, they might even be a school teacher for that matter. And I learned a lot the other night, and I realized how important the Muncie Police Department really is. And I knew they were important before this, but when we started hitting calls with the staffing of only 10 police officers on duty, I realized real quick that we might need a few more police officers in our community based on the amount of calls that we're taking on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's one thing. Just doing research on you, your platform was talk about bringing community policing back.
Yes. So to me, this is what I remember, and I told you guys just a little bit ago that I had grew up on the south side of town for about the first 5 or 6 years of my life, and I lived in Southern Pines. And if anyone knows where Southern Pines is, it's behind Kmart South, and so that'll give you a good idea as to some of the things that I've been through as a child growing up with my mother and father, and there were some issues there, younger age growing up, but my mom did the best that she could in raising us kids, and I just always remembered the police officer that patrolled that area, and I knew every time that police officer come into that neighborhood, I was able to go up to that police officer's door and talk to him, and he treated me no different than any other kid, and we could tell him anything, and we were comfortable, and I remember that. And it even goes on out into the county, because I remember even as a kid in the county, there were only a certain set of police officers that kind of showed up in our immediate area. And we were able to talk to them, build relationships with them. And so part of my platform is that I think it's important from all aspects of our community that each and every other neighborhood or area of town has the ability to build relationships with those who serve them. And police officers are a big part of that. They are the ones that protect and serve us on a day-to-day basis. They keep our crime under control, and they also make sure that they can save lives potentially. And so I just think it's important that we go back to that. But the only way that you can implement that is to be able to staff your police officers up a little bit more.
No, go along with that. Obviously, Muncie has a reputation, like a lot of towns, I think, that suffered in the Rust Belt of drug problems.
Yes.
You mentioned bringing an inpatient drug treatment center.
Yes. This one's probably more near and dear to my heart because I deal with this every day. I've got a lot of brothers and sisters in arms that have dealt with this problem. And when you go overseas and you go to war, you get an adrenaline high like you've never had in your life. When your life flashes before your eyes, it's overwhelming sometimes. And the problem is you get used to that while you're over there. But it's actually twofold for me. And when you get back, you have buddies or people that you serve with over there that end up in the wrong, scenario, wrong situation in life. And throughout the VA system, it was nothing for a lot of my friends, including myself. I could have easily went to the VA and they could have prescribed pain pills, or they'll give you about anything you want, at least at that time. I think, times have changed since then. But even me, I mean, I had a broken foot, and they were willing to give me some of the highest narcotic pain medication there was without me even asking. And so I understand what it's like, because since I've been back, I've had 3 buddies of mine overdose on drugs. But then the part that I said that was twofold is I actually have a father that's in recovery right now. My dad, at a young age, always kind of had a drink or two of an evening, maybe a beer or whatever. But that was never the issue. The issue was when I got back from Afghanistan, I didn't realize how bad that had gotten out of control. And unfortunately, when I got back, he basically was a full-blown alcoholic. And the other fortunate part is about a year after that, he went off to rehab and got himself clean and was willing to become a productive member of society. And he now has over 9.5 years worth of sobriety. I'm proud of him. But I see, not only on a day-to-day basis, I've had it happen to me and my family, and I've had it happen to me to my military brothers and sisters in arms. And so it's important to me to bring that type of facility here, because I know what good it does. And you can do that without costing the taxpayers. If you broker the right deal with the right company, you don't have to give the whole pie away. You can ask someone to come open that type of business up here. And to me, it's kind of threefold on that aspect too, because not only does it treat the drug problem, but now you bring jobs here. You bring someone that's paying tax dollars to our community to try to help with whatever other things that we offer out there from a city standpoint. And so to me, it's a great idea.
So that would be privately owned?
Yeah, I think that's the best option.
Yeah.
And the reason being is because, we can bring all the non-for-profits in here all day long, but the minute we start doing that, we become a city that does not have a tax roll at all. And look, I'm not one to say that we need to, not have any taxes or raise tax. I don't think we should be raising taxes by no means, but I think that what we have to do is we have to find creative ways to fix problems without costing the city money, and that's the goal of mine.
Now, earlier you mentioned infrastructure around Muncie, and we've all drove through Muncie, and it's like a road course trying to avoid potholes.
Oh yeah,
and not just the roads, but the buildings that are completely empty or falling down. Is there a solution for that?
Absolutely. This is the thing. This is one of those things where you've got to be creative. You got to think outside the box. And so what I would first and foremost say is that, look, political paving, the days of that are over. I am tired of I know people that have come to me and said, hey, I know such and such, they can get our road patched. And sure enough, a week later, I come down and the daggone thing's patched. To me, I understand that if someone makes a call, just an everyday normal citizen out here makes a call and they get the road patched, I'm good with that, okay? But when it's the friends of the people who run these departments, it's a problem to me. The other problem that we have is a lot of mismanagement of funds. I don't think it's a good idea to be bringing your family members or relatives in to do all the contractual work, or for that matter, I think that we've got to take a serious look at whether or not we should be paving our own roads and not paying someone, an outside source, to pave those roads. The other thing I'll tell you is like right now, we're right at the tail end of winter, beginning of spring, and a lot of the places that make your hot patch, there's a difference. There's cold patch and hot patch. The people that are making your hot patch just now opened to be able to provide the asphalt necessary to patch those holes. The problem is over the last 3 months, a lot of the guys in the streets department have been told just to go out and be seen with cold patch. Well, cold patch is not an effective solution in my opinion, because typically they fill that hole, and by the end of the day, that hole's rebusted out because it's just not good patching material. Maybe for a less traveled road or a road that didn't have a whole lot of cars going up and down it. But my idea is that we have the ability to buy these small little like refinery operations that you could actually put on the property of the city somewhere, a streets department property, that actually could make the hot patch without costing the taxpayers a bunch of money. there's an initial investment there, but I think that's where you partner with maybe the county government and say, look, this is something you guys want to do throughout the winter. We want to do it throughout the winter. Let's come upon an agreement that's a good investment for both of us to be a part of. And then throughout the winter, now you have the ability to make that hot patch, which is a way better solution to patching these potholes. The other side of that is let's say that we didn't go that route. I have personally talked to multiple companies within 60 miles of this city that say that they would be willing to make get under a contract where they would make hot patch, maybe twice a month for those winter months. And then that would give us the ability to go out and permanently fix the holes all around the city. But people aren't doing that. They take the easy way to do it. And to me, we've got to start taking the right road. It's a lot easier sometimes to take the easy road, but in my opinion, we got to start taking the harder road sometimes just to make it more effective for our community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, another big topic here in Muncie, and it has been for years, is jobs.
Yes.
And not just, yes, everyone's hiring right now. You see the signs everywhere.
Yep.
I'm talking mid, upper level manufacturing jobs, professional jobs.
Right. What's
a way that the city can start bringing those jobs back, not only for the employees, but also the tax revenue?
So, well, let me. I want to back up before we go into that. There are jobs in this community. The problem is that there's two problems. They're jobs that are really not going to pay you a gainfully employed salary. And to me, I think it's fair to say that we are at a point in time in our society that we have got to start taking a hard look at this and determining what's good to bring into our community, what's not. I can tell you that we have so many fast food chains around this city that it's time to stop bringing in so many fast food chains and start bringing in those mid-level manufacturing jobs. I don't know how many upper mid-level manufacturing jobs we're going to make, but I think the center of the road, we could probably do that. The other problem that we have is we have a lot of people that can't pass drug screens right now in this city. I can tell you that I have a lot of veterans that come through my office on a yearly basis, and I have job openings right now. There's some that can pass drug screens, some that can't. There's some that need job training before we can even get them there. Maybe they need education. I don't know. So I think it's important to kind of take an overall look at all that. But I think one key thing is that we do not have a economic development team that works together currently with the county from a city standpoint. And it's been ran by, it's a one-man show. He writes his own checks. Literally he has his own checkbook. It's that bad. I think that we have to start collaborations between other county and local officials to try to make not only what's good for the city of Muncie, but for this county as a whole. But of course, my primary focus would be the city, and we allow the other elected officials to make their county their main focus. But I think we've got to come together, work together to do that. You've also got to be willing to go out there and take those trips out there sometimes to negotiate companies coming into this town. The one thing that I'm seeing is our own current mayor right now will not even hop on a plane. To me, if I can bring in a job from China, let's say, and it's a mid-level manufacturing job that will provide decent paying jobs right here to locals in our community, I'm going to hop on a plane and I'm going to go talk to the business owner over there, and I'm going to negotiate that deal one way or another, even if I have to bring economic development with me to do that. So you've just got to kind of step outside of your comfort zone sometimes, and you got to do things that maybe difficult or maybe is not necessarily down your lane to try to make what's really right for our community.
I know one thing. I work out at Mercix.
Yeah.
Over on the west part of the county. And one thing we've struggled with is, you mentioned labor.
Yes.
Either finding people that can pass drug tests or have any sort of skills.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if the mayor's role, if you would have an influence on that, but is there a way to get more technical training?
Yes. That's where you've got what they call economic development dollars, okay? Edit money.
Okay.
What I've found in the past is that a lot of our edit dollars from the city standpoint are being used on projects that are personally wanted, not necessarily what makes sense for the community. And so I think it's important that you use those edit dollars towards the right things. I know that Hamilton County Commissioners right now, they got a $200 million a year surplus right now, and there's a reason. It's because people want to go there because their infrastructure's right. They've got the jobs there. They've got all the things that most people want. So what you have to do is you have to create an amenity infrastructure, let's say. You have to create top-tier talent somehow. And how you do that is you don't necessarily create it, but you find it. You go out and find the folks that can fill those jobs and incentivize them somehow to get there. Now, without giving the whole pie away, I'm not saying we just give it all away. But you've got to find the creative ways to do that. And I think that you just have to collaborate with the right people to make that happen. I can also tell you that from those edit dollars, maybe from a city standpoint, we could start holding job training, or we could get with other companies like Mercix and say, look, we want to make sure that we provide people with the best opportunity to take those jobs. So let's try to partner together and make sure they get the technical training so that they can get paid decent wages to do a good job. There's all sorts of different ideas out there, but that's just one that I would throw out there.
Yeah, because it seems like there's the gap between guys who are in their 40s who have done skilled labor for years and guys that are in their 20s who think they're going to go work in a factory like Grandpa did.
Yes.
And make the money, and it's just not there.
Well, and then another thing I think it's important is that we've got to partner with our community educators, and we've got to start trying to bring out more trade schooling. Okay, trades is not, they I think over the last 10 or 15 years they've kind of put trades to the side, and it's been more about computer. It's been more about other realms of working. I know that when I went to high school, there were 2 trades classes that I took. One was a law enforcement class through the Muncie Area Career Center, and then the other one was shop class. Well, I was able to get on a CNC machine and cut out car rims and make that machine basically make a rim for me. Today, we don't even teach a lot of people that, or a lot of kids, that type of stuff. So I think that we've got to partner with our community educators. I'm not even saying from a college level, but I'm saying K through 12. And we've got to start trying to mentor our kids into those type of positions to be able to fill those voids of jobs that are out there.
Yeah, because 4-year college isn't for everyone.
Right.
And that's fine. It's a good thing to be a skilled tradesman, whether if you're a mechanic, you're a plumber, to make stuff with your hands.
Right.
And I don't know why there was such a shift away from that, but it's killing the job or the available employees now because no one can do those skill jobs.
Right. I agree with you. And that's just a couple ways that we could get that done. But there's all sorts of different ideas out there. I just think that once again, you have to get out there and think outside the box.
Another thing you've talked about is the south side of Muncie.
Yes.
My wife and I, we live out in the country, but we live out by Cowan. So when we want to go do something, it's a shame you have to drive through the south side to either get downtown, which is beautiful now,
right,
or you got to go to the north side.
Right.
What can we do to get the south side where, hey, I don't need to go to the north side.
Right.
I want to stop on the south side and go to a nice place to eat or some sort of activity or whatever it might be.
Right. So I think first and foremost, if you make a promise as an elected official, keep your promise. Okay. I remember this from the past that I can tell you almost every mayor that I've ever listened to has said, hey, we're going to build the south side. We're going to take care of the south side. We're going to fix the south side roads. We're going to clean up the neighborhoods there. And yet we're still in the same scenario. And to me, it's insanity. They keep on doing the same old routine. So I think what you have to do is buckle down. You have to hold yourself accountable. And I think you have to really, truly focus on that area. I think it's more south side and the southeast side. Those are the 2 areas that I really do want to focus on. And I want to try to create an environment for folks living on that side of town, a better way of life. And really, if we are going to bring a restaurant in, let's quit putting them out on the north side of town. Let's put them on the south side of town. Let's try to find a way to open up that nice restaurant on the south side of town so that folks like you can go out and have dinner with your wife and not have to drive an additional, 5 or so, 10 miles to get there. And so I just think it's important that we do that. I think we've got to focus on infrastructure there. And I think we got to start bringing some of those manufacturing jobs back there because that's the industry neighborhood. That's the, all those those neighborhoods that are around the industry neighborhood right there. That's just those type of folks want to work in factory jobs. They don't want to work in a restaurant. Period. I've talked to plenty of them. So
yeah, and the south side has some really nice amenities. You look at Heacon Park; it's gorgeous. But later in the day, people get kind of scared to go over there. And you mentioned policing and the drug issue earlier. So hopefully that could, Heacon's beautiful, and you got Madison and Memorial. There's plenty of space.
Right. Well, the other thing that I would like to do over there is, there's been talk of, for the last, I don't know how many years, there's a Hope 6 grant that would allow for a Unity Center. And these folks have been promised this Unity Center year after year after year after year. And a matter of fact, the last election, there were stakes. There were actually stakes that were staked out to actually build this Unity Center. After the election happened, those stakes got pulled up. Nothing happened. So I think it's something that, once again, we got to stop over-promising and under-delivering. Promises made, promises kept. If you're going to do it, find a way to do it. Focus on it. Complete the task. Don't skip over it just because you have an excuse to do it.
Yeah, cause it's one of those. I think the skeletons there is just adding to it.
Yeah.
Now, what challenges have you faced as a candidate? I mean, I know it's got to be very challenging saying, hey, I want to run for mayor and gain support.
Yeah, so that's, there's actually quite a few challenges there. First and foremost, which I mentioned earlier, is, you got a family at home you still got to take care of, and you still got to provide for those folks. You also have to work day to day, so you can't be out on the campaign trail while you're working. But I can tell you that being 34 years old has been a challenge as well. Most people say, hey, we need a 70-year-old mayor, and I just don't believe in that. I believe that we have got to move on to our new generation, and we've got to allow men like me that are, younger men to go out there and try to thrive and try to lead our community in the right direction. The other thing I would tell you is that, I don't have 50 years of experience in any one thing. But that's okay. I have a few years of experience, but it's good experience in everything that I've done.
Well, I think experience can be overstated. Experience can result in routine,
right,
doing the same thing over and over because it's how we've always done it. I
right.
think sometimes lack of experience can bring a fresh view or looking outside the box.
Absolutely. So you have to be willing to do that. And I think that that's just the type of person I am. I'm not the type of person to get into a routine and stay that way. I typically want to try to do new things that are better, that make things easier or nicer or whatever the case may be. And so, us younger guys, typically we have a different way of thinking, I guess. And it's okay. There's nothing against the older generation or the baby boomers or whoever it is. I just think it's important that we start taking a hard look at who is actually leaders in our community from a younger perspective as well.
Now, as far as other candidates, what separates you from the other candidates?
So this is the thing. I'm young. I'm energetic. I'm enthusiastic. I have a different way of thinking. I'm not some polished politician. This is my hometown. This is where I was born and raised. And I can tell you from my primary candidates right now, neither one of them can really say any of that. They are bankers. They are politicians. They have been born into money. They have had most things given to them or handed them, in my opinion. Now, I've had to work hard for everything that I've ever gotten, and I think that that's an important part of this. But the other part I would say is that I've never been a politician, and nor do I want to be a politician. I want to be an effective leader for my community, and the only way that I know how to do that is to do it the way the military kind of taught me, and that is to stay precise, be respectful, be disciplined. But when I give it a shot, give it 100%. Don't just give it 50%. The other thing I would also say is that I just have the ability to think outside of the box that most people their age think. They think a different way, I feel like. And so I just hope that people take a look at that and they realize that, hey, this young man right here really is not your same old good old boy politician like my candidates, I feel like, are.
Do you have any campaign events coming up?
Yeah, so a couple things that we have coming up here soon. I actually will be having a golf outing on April the 6th at Crestview here in Muncie. It's the only golf course here in the city, and we're going to be holding that there. And I think that starts at 8 a.m. tee-off time. And we are going to be having a meet and greet on April 20th there at the Madison Street Diner. And that's just for folks to come in and just kind of meet and greet, eat breakfast, and allow them to kind of ask any questions they have. We also will be having some other meet and greets that will be coming out. But if people pay attention to my Facebook page, it's Nate Jones for Mayor. if they pay attention to that page, we will be posting those events very frequently and sharing those. But we also will be sharing some videos. I've actually got a really cool endorsement that's getting ready to come out here in about a week and a half, and I think this community will be very excited to see that.
Have you done meet and greets in the past? Have you done a few of them?
Yes, I've actually they've actually been held at people's homes, so they haven't really been public ones. But let's say there's a group of people that want to meet. They've had me over for coffee or tea at their house, and it's kind of been closed off. But the ones coming up forward are going to be not closed off. They're going to be more geared towards just everyday civilians that maybe just don't know who I am. Let's say.
What's kind of been the main theme of questions that Muncie residents have been asking?
So here recently, I went out and I've knocked on over 400 doors here in the last couple weeks, and I can tell you that the number one thing that's been brought up, even outside of corruption, is infrastructure. Infrastructure. I've had people tell me, if you just pave the roads, I'll vote for you. Or if you just patch the potholes, I'll pay for I'll vote for you. The next thing is the drug problem. We've had a lot of people concerned about the drug problem, and then obviously our educational system. I can tell you that it's difficult because if someone was to move to Muncie, Indiana, or was looking to move to Muncie, Indiana, they might open up the paper, and literally any given day that you open up that paper, you either have a pothole problem, you have a corruption issue, you have an educational issue, you have a drug problem. Well, when you do that, nobody's going to want to move to this city with that type of stuff going on. And so we have got to get away from those key points throughout our community. And look, you're never going to get rid of all of it. But what you can do is make a big impact in it. And you have to stay laser focused on those tiers. So
yeah, it's a shame because don't get me wrong, there's problems with Muncie. We all know that. But there's a lot of positive that I don't think gets spotlighted by the newspaper. And it seems like they sell more papers and more negative.
Right.
So I think there is a lot of positive to build on.
Yes, and there is, and I agree with you. I mean, look, we've got a convention center. We've got a lot of arts that are going through here. We are a diverse community, which is great. We've got a lot of entertainment when it comes to restaurants and movie theaters and shopping and things like that. So those are all great things, but at some point in time, we've got to start looking towards other positive things to implement within our community and to try to really attract not only top-tier talent for employment purposes, but also just for people to come and be a part of our community. And I know I went and visited with Mayor McBarnes over in Frankfort, Indiana, and it's kind of cool because they have a petting zoo in one of their parks. And they really sustain that with very low cost. And what a heck of a way to be able to bring other people from other communities to come and be a part of our community and maybe spend some money and allow them to come and pet our pets at our petting zoo, So I'm just saying that's just one thing that I see they're doing. I don't know that Muncie's ready for that yet, but I do believe that those are the type of things or the type of ideas we have to come up with to be creative.
When is the vote?
Okay, so voting is May 7th of 2019 of this year.
And that's primary?
That is the primary. It'll be between me and two other candidates. And I can tell you that you can early vote starting April 8th. So if you want to early vote and get out there and cast your ballot early, you can go to the county building, which is located at 100 West Main Street in Muncie, Indiana, 47305. And you can go right into the county building, cast your vote early, all the way up until the day or a couple days prior to the actual day of voting. The other thing I would tell you is that if you're in a nursing home or assisted living facility and you want to do an absentee ballot, you just simply have to apply for that. You get the form, you fill it out, send it in. Then the county clerk will send out the people to do that or the forms to get that done. And that's what I know about that.
And you mentioned your Facebook. You want to mention that again so people can follow you on the campaign trail?
Yeah, so a lot of my activity is posted on Facebook at Nate Jones for Mayor. Or you can go to Nathan A. Jones. That's my private page. I kind of use both of them to get my message out. I would also ask you if you are interested in looking into my campaign, please friend request, like our page, share our page. Please help me get our views out there, and let's show this community what we can do.
Nate, I greatly appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man,
yes,
and only going to get busier, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. I appreciate, like I said, your time, and I wish you the best. Hopefully we can get some positive changes going in this community.
Absolutely.
It's due for some.
That's right. We're going to get it done.
As always, you can follow me on Instagram at the Jake Sewell Podcast. Any questions, concerns, comments, email me at the Jake Sewell Podcast at gmail.com. Thank you.